Hold on, everybody. We are way behind. So just give me a second. I gotta put on a
You got a shirt?
I have it's over on the other table.
Oh my god.
I got it. We're good. Putting on socks.
Wait, hold on.
You're trying to take
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
We have a new setup happening. Hello. Welcome. I'm good.
All right.
Are you clothed?
I'm getting there.
Getting there. Okay.
Bit by bit.
Hey, Claire, how are you? Oh, my coffee. Can you get my coffee?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, get your coffee, get your tea.
Is that it?
Oh, I did bring it over.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, T. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, everybody. Hello, and good morning. Wow. I love this house.
It's a good morning.
It's a good morning.
Especially because this coffee, you guys,
Okay.
is insane.
I'm so excited to spill the tea on this coffee. That sounds not like me at all, but
Super
it's
nerdy,
just
but
so exciting.
This coffee, we have if you have an espresso machine,
Especially the virtual line.
they just came out like the flavor of the month or something is like double chocolate, and it is so good.
It's so good.
So good. Obviously I added like a half a cup of vanilla creamer to it as well. So
look at this.
It's really, really good.
Like it's that one. And it is so good. It tastes like there's chocolate.
It's like a dark chocolate brownie.
So that's exactly how to describe it. Like bittersweet chocolate, but in a good way. Mostly the sweet part.
We're doing good. I'm glad everyone's good. Today's gonna be a juicy little chat. I'm
excited about this one. Yeah, I'm very excited about this particular topic.
Well, it was cool because I feel like we could have talked even longer about it, but I kind of want to know if you guys watched Thursday's episode
last week
about sharing much TMI in relationships, especially regarding past sexual relationships.
Yeah. Well, it was our second ever. Sorry about that. It was our second ever. What do you call it? Requested video where somebody specifically asked. One of our subscribers on Instagram wrote us and was like, "Hey, can you please talk about this thing? My current boyfriend and I are trying to figure out how much to share about our past relationships. What do you recommend?" And I was like, I don't know.
I wrote back and I was like, I kind of need more details.
Yeah,
about
for sure.
What you mean by that. And I think we kind of covered it all in the
I think in general.
But I do want to bounce some ideas off you guys because
Courtney Pachette and Emily, hello.
Hello, good morning.
We're having chocolate coffee. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
I'm very, very excited. Sorry, just as people come in, I want them to know about chocolate coffee from Nespresso. And that we are talking about TMI today. I'm going to scoot your chair over. Un petit peu. Yeah.
Oh, like over?
Yeah, that way.
You don't want me as close to you?
No, I'm coming closer to you. Over
nice.
This way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No TMI here. So when they asked about what our kind of reference points were, I was like, baby, do you have
Well, I didn't really know where to start, right? And so I think I've seen both ends of the spectrum, and I've actually been on both ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
I don't understand when people are like, I don't want to know that they've ever slept with somebody or that they've ever dated somebody or, whatever degree that is. But I don't want to know. I'm like, well, that's dumb because they have.
Yeah.
And
everybody poops and a lot of people have sex.
And that's okay. And all of those interactions and past relationships and exes and things, it shouldn't be so uncomfortable because A, hopefully they've dealt with their past and it's in the past. And B, they've made your partner into this beautiful human being that you're in love with, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you love about them was sculpted and molded from all of those past experiences. So get over it. But then there's another side where people really do overshare. And I have dated someone, I talked about this in the episode, really fucking shitty, you guys,
Oh yeah.
that like even went into detail about like sexual things, like how this person did this and they were really good at it. It was like,
Yuck,
A,
yuck.
so gross. B, don't you, how dare you like compare and bring that into our, like, granted, you know, I was young and didn't have my voice yet.
There were a lot of other issues as well.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that that's
But,
so
like,
fucked up.
That
Why?
actually happened? What is wrong with that person? Ugh.
Well, I think what's wrong with them is that they were trying to get you, and this is, I'm psychoanalyzing based on other things that I know about the relationship. And also I want to throw something out to, before I say that, to Ernesto for writing us on Instagram. One of our followers and subscribers who checked out the video and offered a little, he's a psychologist. And so offered a little extra about why we tend to overshare. And also it's just he was saying that a lot of it comes from self-esteem issues of trying to get approval. And that's a lot of also why some of the other videos he commented on, but I'm going to be throwing his thoughts and comments in from time to time. I thought that was really cool that we have a psychologist's opinion. But with regards to what you were saying, I think that the main issue with him was that not everything had worked out with that other person. And so he wanted you to be the good parts of that person without the bad parts. And that's so manipulative and scary and weird and awful. And what a terrible,
disgusting.
It's incredibly lacking in self-awareness to say, you know what, I got out of this relationship, or this relationship ended. I don't know whether it was her or him that ended it, but unless you do.
Oh, I mean, it would happen. And I guess that's the thing we also talked about. Like sometimes it's not even, when you overshare about the sexual things, that's like, I think the grossest, most inappropriate
just no matter
part.
What, there's just no reason for that.
But this person was not self-aware and a D-bag. So, but he would constantly bring up old past relationships and how other women were with him, just in general, and a compare and contrast. Sometimes it would be about like my talent, you know, and don't do that. Don't bring up things like that. That's so rude and hurtful and ridiculous. And if someone's doing that to you, you know, speak up, get out,
punch him right in the face,
sock him one, because that is not the love that you deserve, my friends.
Yeah. Punch them in the metaphorical and emotional face.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have to say that. Nope, not saying it to anybody here, but anybody watching after who doesn't know that I'm not condoning punching somebody in the face unless they deserve it.
But I think you should run. I think you should run directly out the door.
Definitely.
Away. But yeah, I want to go to the comments and see if anyone has.
Oh yeah. So let us know. So let us know in the comments, either live or if you're watching later on, let us know. Have you been in a situation where you found that you were oversharing, or where somebody else overshared, or where someone wouldn't share, or where you didn't feel comfortable sharing? And then bonus, have you been in a relationship that is like this shitbag that we're talking about?
But let's go in the middle, right? Sorry, I got carried away on the spectrum. But like somewhere in the middle, like I think it is okay, because we talked about this, to share. Let's just focus, you know, lightly on the sexual things, like talking about your boundaries. Like, how do you discuss boundaries?
Yes.
And
well, that's where we ended up landing on it. But what I'm interested in right now, before we get there, what I'm interested in is if you guys are willing to share and do not feel obviously like you have to, but you know, like Fichette, I just noticed that you said I'm more on the private side of things,
right?
Which totally understandable, but it's just interesting to see where people fall. So let's go back through the comments from, I fancy honey JD and coffee now. Heyo, come on. Love the setup you guys have. Thanks, T.
Thanks.
Yeah, I checked it out today.
Yeah,
we moved the camera around and we've got a new lens.
And
this is the couch
you know,
that I
was
carry.
chasing down the road that day.
Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah. I'm very, very stoked about this. So I'm glad that you guys dig it. This is also a new lens, which is what I'm super, super duper excited about, because it allows for more space. So it doesn't feel so, the other lens is great for the single videos, but for this, I really like this.
I do
And
too.
the new Studio 2.0 will probably be using this lens or something similar akin to it. Okay. Everybody's just I love that you guys check in with each other. It makes me so happy that the community just like
Yeah.
you guys will the chat
We
is
got some friends
lit.
here.
Hello, hey everybody, bonjour. More on the private side, so don't like TMI. Claire, if I disappear, it's because I had to go load a container on a truck. You know,
Like you
you
do.
do. Classic. Used to be an overshare, and I've been in a relationship ex who didn't share.
But were you an oversharer about just like your feelings, or were you an oversharer about your past relationships and to a point where like it was a little too much? Like,
Yeah.
too
Were
much
were you
information about.
oversharing, or did you find? Now I find that I, who am a classic oversharer, not to that degree, but
Not about like things that would though offend me or like make me
but I find
uncomfortable.
that I tend to overshare when you clam up
Oh.
in an effort to get. I feel like, you know, when you're trying to do the circle sometimes,
Mhm.
and we're trying to do it as one, like it's just you, Claire. Maybe this is what you've been going through, and I'm interested to see if it is. I tend to share because I'm like, well, you see, like I'll tell you all of this so that you can tell me a little. Like you don't have to tell me as much as I'm telling you,
Well,
but
and
I'll
s-
tell you so much so that you can feel comfortable telling me a little. But by doing that,
it shuts me up
you
sometimes.
overwhelm the
Yeah.
conversation, which is something that
And then I don't feel like there's space for me to join.
exactly. So is that part of why you overshared, or have you explored why you found yourself oversharing in that situation? I'm interested. And we'll keep going in here. Megan, what's up? What about people that undershare? My ex was always secretive with me and shit. Yes.
Yeah. And honestly, Meg, that's not I think what we're touching about today, but we have talked about that. And
Well, I think it's still a portion of the conversation, because the
Yeah.
question really, though we're talking about TMI because that's where we landed on it.
Right.
The actual question was based in how much do you share? Like, do you
how much should you share?
Yes. How much is
I get
not
that. I get that.
TMI?
I see.
So
Well,
I think
then
this
you
is
should
still a
share to an
totally
extent. Yeah.
yeah.
And you should be open about, I mean, to an extent, your sexual past. I mean, to an extent,
Yeah.
because you want to know your partner. I mean, you want to know, like, you know, what you're comfortable with, what what they're comfortable with. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be like, and then this person, and then this thing, and the
Yeah. When you get into discussing parts and distinct, like if you're having to be descriptive about a sexual act, you are now in TMI. But Megan, are you talking about undersharing in general, or just about sexual relationships, like previous sexual relationships? Or are you talking about this person just wouldn't share at all? Because that's also,
It is also,
I mean, a huge issue. And it's actually one of the reasons that I find that I overshared, because I was trying so hard to combat being the classic guy who didn't share anything. Because that's such a stereotype. You know, the guys don't talk. The guy who doesn't talk. The guy who doesn't share, and the girl who does.
Yeah.
And ironically, we just
we
total
tend to
opposites.
lean, the opposite way.
Yeah.
Not always. We take turns, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear that though. T, more on the private life. You know what, T? I would have guessed that. Also, I signed on to Instagram for the first time since the last time that I made an announcement about one of these lives. And I saw one of your posts today that was about being your whole self. And I thought that was a great post. Adeline Collignon, is that the proper pronunciation? Because watching you for the first time from France.
Woo-hoo!
Oh my gosh.
Welcome.
Hi, welcome to Coffee and Tea. Bonjour. I love this. You guys, this is the coolest. Claire, about feelings and past stuff that didn't need to be talked about. Okay. So good on you for being self-aware and seeing that and recognizing that and stopping that.
Yeah, we also talked about that too. It's like sometimes if you're oversharing about a past relationship, in like fleshing things out still with your new partner, that's not a good sign, because that means you're still hung up on the ex,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
you haven't fully healed and gotten past it. So like it's hard to then be like, okay, well now I have this new person in my life. Like, are they just there for comfort? Are you still hung up on
Yeah.
the past?
Is this just a rebound?
Yeah.
Like, is this why?
And that's fine to recognize that, but it is a thing to pay attention to.
Well, one of the things that I don't think, at least that I haven't heard talked about as far as rebounds a lot of times, is just kind of laying out the fact that a lot of rebounding is not just finding somebody to feel comfortable with, but a lot of the time it ends up becoming finding someone to dump all of your emotions that you haven't dealt with from your past relationship onto.
Right.
And I think that's a big issue for a lot of us, where we don't recognize that, shit, okay, I'm in this new relationship and I'm just talking about this old relationship
Right.
that I'm clearly not over, but that I found somebody to get close enough to feel like I could just say all of these things.
Right.
As opposed to someone that I was like, look, I am my whole self. You hopefully are your whole self. Let's grow. Let's do this. You want to grow together?
You want to grow together?
You want to go?
But I mean, it happens though, like,
of course, I'm certainly not holding anyone to account.
But definitely something to
more than
pay
necessary.
attention to.
Yeah. Welcome to Part of Love to any new peeps.
Yes.
I love it. Welcome. Everybody's saying hello and welcome. The chat with my husband, I never shared my ex relationships.
You never shared that you were in relationships with other people, or just like much about them?
Just the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be hard for me not to have shared, because you pretty much know a lot about everything, but I don't think it's TMI. Like it wasn't, it's not
it was,
but it does help inform, even as my best friend in the world, it
Yes.
helps inform the way I act about certain things, the way I feel. Maybe something brings up a bad memory, you've helped me work through things. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be sharing these very important details that have kind of sculpted you.
Yes.
But again, certain details just don't need to be talked about.
Certain details are totally unnecessary.
Yes.
I agree with that. I think that for you and I, there are obviously certain things that you and I do not talk about. We don't talk about those overly descriptive things, but anything that we find necessary to the betterment and the longevity of our relationship, to the growth of our relationship, is something we share. And I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I have made mistakes before. I can't say that you have, like off the top of my head. I'm sure you have, but
I'm sure I have.
But there is also a kind of there is no, in my opinion, just delineating line of this is where oversharing stops, because
some things are pertinent.
Some things are very necessary to be like, this is why. Like, I don't want to do this. And that was what we got to at the end of the episode, is talking about the boundaries. And this is also what we got to within the previous Thursday episode of You Don't Belong to Me, I Don't Belong to You.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the boundaries of the relationship, right? You're setting these boundaries of, this is what I feel comfortable with. Like, if I just went out and, I mean, this is non-sexual, but if I just went out right now and bought a new car, that is outside of the purview of what we have laid out for our relationship anymore. Now, when we first got together, I came home with Maya's literally like pulling her blanket across.
It's very funny. I wish I could show you guys.
Hi, Bareface. I came home. Well, come here. Up.
Let me hold your coffee in case.
Oh, I came home with this, and didn't talk to her.
Is the most beautiful girl in the world.
Yes,
but we it's sort of like, we didn't plan for another baby.
Yeah, there was no.
You're like,
sharing.
I was just like, surprise!
Yeah.
I stopped taking my birth control. Like,
like there was my point is there was this large thing that was outside of the scope, because we hadn't talked about boundaries. We hadn't talked about whether or not we would want to get another dog, about these things. And I just went out and did this thing. now I'm very thankful that I did that. That did work out in our favor. But like, you have to set certain boundaries in your relationship, but you have to discuss those boundaries for them to be set, right? So your relationship can't just exist in this realm of, well, I'm pretty sure that they know, like, I'm pretty sure they know what I'm saying, like, and thinking in my head, what I'm not saying, but what I'm
Never
thinking.
assume. That is, yes, we cannot assume.
Most classic saying, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
That's good. Is that a classic saying?
I don't know. My mom used to say it.
I like that.
So I think that's a really good one, though. And yeah, just don't assume. Also, what is one of the top 5 things that we talk about on this channel? Communication, right? So your self-awareness is super important. But if you're incredibly excuse me, I just want to like coffee and chocolate spit wrong. Sorry, I'm back. If you are incredibly self-aware, but you don't share any of that with your partner,
how would they know? And
like,
how is it helping you guys?
It's not.
Yeah.
That was a great question. Teed me right up for that.
Oh.
So yeah, we'll pop back in here. Megan, I'm an overthinker. I think we both are.
I'm a bit of an overthinker.
I tend to think out loud while I'm talking.
You're an out loud overthinker. And I am an overthinker to where I spend so much time circling around like decisions. Even the stupidest thing, from like choosing soap, like which soap scent to get. You know what I mean? Like, I overthink it. And I will be in Target and Colt will be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm deciding between the soap." He's like, "It's been 5 minutes. I just got everything else we needed," you know? But like, it is hard sometimes for me to do that. And I think though that stems from like, honestly, a lack of confidence, a lack of self-worth that I'm still trying to like work through. I think we all have a bit of that still, let's be honest, right? That we're always constantly trying to love ourselves and find our worth, you know, and it sounds so dumb that it might relate to soap, but sometimes it does, you know,
like I don't want to make the wrong decision.
Yeah, you don't trust yourself enough yet.
It's like getting in the wrong line. I do this sometimes at like the gas station, let's say. If I pick like which pump to like go to and I end up choosing the wrong one, I'm like, God, that's so stupid. And I'll think so much about like, I should have been in that line. It's like when you're in traffic and you're like, why is that lane going? And then you get in that lane and the other one goes and you're like, the world hates me. Everything is conspiring. You don't have to overthink about those things.
Sometimes it does come from, again, past relationships. Sometimes I overthink something because in a past relationship, I would have been scolded or, you know, something bad would have happened. Again, terrible relationship, should have run, pay attention. Yeah. But I shared that with you to let you know, hey, I know this is like a trigger sometimes, or, you know, this happens sometimes, and you help me through it and you recognize it now before it even happens. Or you're like, like, let's, you know, you help me navigate. So like things like that are important to share. Yeah.
And also I'm going to keep taking it back to sex because this is very necessary. Because I don't think enough people talk enough about the things that they do like in sex and that they don't. And explaining that, like, there are certain things that I'm just.
What did you say in the video? You're like, you know, when we met, I just laid it out, and you were like, if you're into this, I'm not. So I'm not your guy.
Yeah. If this is something that you're really interested in doing or trying.
And I so appreciated that. I was like, good, me too.
I was like, this is not for me. And it wasn't for lack of trying. Like there are things sexually that like I've dated girls who just were like, let's try this. I'm like, great, let's try it. After a while, you're like, after a couple of times, you're like, no, I'm positive I'm not into this. And since I love having sex, like I'm not going to continue staying with somebody who wants to continue doing this thing that I don't enjoy. And I think that that's something that we all have to.
But we all need to, again, that's a growing experience because I have had the same experience. Well, not the same experience.
Not the same one.
Again,
Yours is-
TMI. I won't give you all the TMI, but
No, I don't even think we can. We're monetized now.
Also, I had been through something like that, and I was like, why didn't I just tell this person, A, I don't want to do this? Why am I doing this? I don't like this. This is not okay with me. But again, you live, you learn, you grow. By the time I met you, had no problem being like, nope.
We weren't even dating when I found out some of the things.
Because
and it was just because I felt like you were testing the waters during friendship time to be like, so this is something that I have done and don't ever want to do again. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I would definitely test you out.
Because there was no weight to it yet. It was just like,
I wanted to know if we were compatible potentially in the future. So I was just like kind of throwing it all out there.
Turned out that we are.
Yeah.
I think.
I did a lot of testing though. I'd like bleach my mustache and walk around in the curlers.
She would bleach her mustache, and that was
just friends.
The funniest thing ever. Oh my God. Speaking of thinking about back to that time, bleaching the mustache. Guess what the Thursday episode is?
What?
Our love story, part 4.
Yes, you guys.
A couple of people have been writing us and asking for what happens next. And it is already loaded up in the queue, ready to go. I am so excited.
Well, the cool thing about this is, and I realize we need to make it a point, even if it's just like a once a month video, because there's so many points of our love story that I want to share with you guys, because there's so many lessons within them too. I mean, we're just in the very, very beginning of it, but like I'm talking 5 years in some of the lessons that they coincide with such big stories. Sometimes very funny stories, sometimes very sad stories, but I want to share them, and I want to share them in order.
Yeah.
So I think we got to spit them out a little.
Yeah. We'll do one episode a month from now on, at least, of those.
Yeah.
And then the following week is actually already coming up. And that is, I just want to get you guys excited about this one because I am so stoked on it. Yeah. It's one of your favorites, or at least you said that when I read it. Yeah.
Yes.
Am I in love? Or am I in lust? Love versus lust. And we're going to discuss love at first sight and why we think that that's impossible, and how important it is to understand this for a healthy relationship, and how much it's going to help you, especially if you're out there dating. It's really exciting. And it's a fun episode that even has some science in it, which is exciting. So let's go back to the things over here. All right. Claire, mine is a long story. Blocked out a lot of stuff from what happened when I was a kid. Had to break down 21, so I went over share mode, but I've learned not to now.
But Claire, again, we're so proud of you as usual. But that is that takes so much maturity, and the work that you have done for yourself. It blows me away. But that, again, that oversharing, it's just a response to your healing. So like, yes, you had that breakdown because you had to break down and break through. And then in order to heal, of course you had to share. When we're hurting and we're healing, we reach out to anyone who will listen, anyone that we think we can get love from or help from. Because the boundaries aren't set yet for us. We're totally, still crumbled and rebuilding. Yeah. We're learning what that is, so again.
And sometimes you can't, go to your therapist. One hour a week is not enough to discuss all of the things that you're trying to constantly work through.
Totally. And let's be honest, at 21, like I didn't know where to find a therapist. At 21, I just found a therapist. That was my first year of getting help. But like, I didn't grow up in a home where that was normal to talk about private things and get help. No, like, so I'm just so proud of you. And it's totally normal,
I think 21 was the first time in my adult life that I went to a therapist too.
Really?
Yeah. I only went to one session because this therapist sucked. Also, all therapists are not created equal.
Exactly.
Go until you find somebody you vibe with. And also, that does not, you say you go talk to somebody and you're like, nope. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying they're a bad therapist. They may be.
It's sort of like friends, like just because someone's going to listen to you, it doesn't mean you're the right fit. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're bad at your job, whatever it is. It's just, they may not be the right fit for you,
And for that specific thing.
Yeah.
I have friends that I will talk to ad nauseum about certain issues and other things that I would have absolutely no interest in sharing with them because it's not beneficial for either one of us.
Yeah.
And that's just, my point is, I think therapy, a lot of times, we talked about it on the refinery a little bit, in one of the first episodes of the first season, but it gets kind of a stigma of, well, I'm just paying someone to listen to me. Yeah, you really are. And that's okay. That's something that we all need. But also that if you go talk to someone and you're like, well, I went to a therapist and it didn't help. Well, that doesn't mean that therapist was the right person. It's like picking up a book and going, well, I've read a book and I did not like it.
It takes, you guys, time and constant work. We are constant students of
Would you call it action
ourselves.
over time?
I would say that.
It's the definition of love. It's either way.
Anyway, let's go.
Megan, LOL, parts. Well, I almost said like digits and that wasn't right. And then I was like, what's the extremities? Like when you're discussing specific extremities or specific part. Yeah, parts. Parts works best.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Megan, just undersharing in general. Cool. I think we touched on that. Also live in France. Courtney, yes, TMI goes too far when you go into too much depth. When me and my boyfriend started dating, he wouldn't share too much info about his last relationship as it was in his past. He did this as he wanted to start fresh and let go of the past. Understandable. I think we're just, we would be rehashing the same thing. As long as it was the right thing for your relationship and you both felt like that, then bada bing, bada boom. Good. Fachette. He knows only who they were, but I don't like to talk about them. He never asked me to talk about them. He's more of a quiet part. That's cute. I mean, you guys seem happy though. And again, I'm gonna keep repeating it because it's the best thing about the truth. Like, just keep saying it because it applies to all of these situations. If it works for your relationship and you feel like you are healthy and growing from that, then good on you. That's amazing. Later, guys. All right, Megan, this is the part where we said bye to you, even though you probably already left a second ago. Fachette, when it comes to sex between partners, it is never TMI. It is necessary. I mean, I agree. I love the laughing face. I had a therapist when I was 21 too. Got a new therapist a few years ago. Helped me cope with everything else going on. Very smart. Yeah.
So smart.
You're in a new place in your life, you know? Mm-hmm. Gotta get out there and discuss. I love that. And I think that is the bottom of the comments. So then I know we're still kind of in the Thursday, but I kind of want to dip our toe into the refinery episode.
Yeah, let's do that. Remind me.
So the refinery episode this week was Brandon's favorite moments. For those of you who follow the refinery, it was a couple of different moments from seasons 1 and 2. This week on Friday is going to be my favorite 3 or 4, 5 moments from the first 2 seasons of the refinery. And I really liked the ones that he picked. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, I would check it out, especially if you haven't watched the refinery yet. It is just 3 guys talking about issues that affect, us and the stigma around men talking, but it delves into so much more than that and so much more than just guy issues. So I definitely recommend it. And also it's just, it made me laugh.
I like these that you're doing these clips though, because they're really digestible and they're like hitting the highlights.
Yeah, I'm
a big fan of it.
12 minutes and 12 to 15, 20-minute little videos, but the actual clips are, there's 4 or 5 clips. Some of them are 30 seconds, some of them are 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And you can just take in, this is something that stood out to Brandon that Colt said in this episode. This is something that stood out to Colt or John about what was said here. I already know what my absolute number 1 favorite moment's going to be. And it has to do with somebody you may know.
I'm excited because I don't know which one. But wait, okay, so let's recap this week's though. Brandon's. I
think what I wanted to do was share that they happened, just because if I start delving into them, because it's such a short episode,
I got you.
We'll get through them. But there's there's something that John talks about his mother's, the work his mother would put in around Christmas.
I liked that.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Brandon talks about how all of you and Part of Love in general, and the refinery and New Age Gents, how just sharing that love is expanding so much and multiplies so much in so many different ways. And that is 100% due to you guys, because we can do what we can. We can share all that we can of our stories and of our belief and our love, to help you find the love you deserve. But if you don't get out there and do the work, if you guys aren't over here in the comments, this comment section looks totally different than the first 20 lives that we did. You guys have all started to become a community and started to share, and you check in on each other, you ask about each other. That right there is love. That action over time is love. And that's how we get closer and closer to the love we deserve. And I really appreciate that. So yeah, it was a good episode. And the nice thing about these little clips episodes is, even for me, I'm the one who is on the calls and edits them. So I watch them a lot. But then you forget that a year ago when we did our first episode, like, oh my gosh, this was a great talk. And then you can go back and watch some of those episodes and go, oh, wow, that was a good point that I didn't hear the first time because I was just watching. It was this new setup, this new idea. It's just really exciting. Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you. And then do we want to talk about Saturday? I mean, it wasn't a video, but there was a lot of love there at TG.
Oh, Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool, and you posted about it, so I just thought.
Well, you guys know we teach when we can, when we have time to. It's a big passion of ours.
Yeah.
Especially right now, given the state of the world, like that's all we can do, right? To like work on our craft and share it in that way.
Share the love with the next generation.
Yeah. And man, these kiddos really like had our hearts.
Yeah.
We went to a friend of ours, owns a studio is it South Carolina?
In
Greenville. And such a great group of kids, but they're primarily from the dance world. And so we did it like a triple threat intensive, we called it. So we danced and we sang and we acted. And for some of these kids, they've never opened their mouths on stage before in front of each other.
And in this studio, they have a little stage literally really built. Cute. It's beautiful. It's so cool. You can see it in the photos on your Instagram, which is
at Angelina Mullins, I believe.
I
if anyone knows,
I know
let me know.
Colt.Ang.
It's Angelina Mullins or Angelina Mullins Prattis. I'm not sure, but yeah, you can see them.
Yeah.
And they just, I mean, some of them got up there, they were terrified, and they, when you push yourself to the limit, right? Yeah. And you push yourself beyond your comfort zones and you do something that scared the crap out of you. I mean, some of them were just crying afterwards because they were so proud of themselves. I was so proud of them. We were like crying with them because like it feels so good to grow, and it's terrifying sometimes to do that. But seeing that growth and like being a part of these kids' journeys in that way is so cool.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch someone who has never done something but wants to do it.
Yeah.
But just doesn't know how, doesn't have those tools. And that's one of the beautiful things, to tie it back into Part of Love. It's the same thing. We're just sharing something else. And in this book that I'm currently reading, one of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life, like definitely top 5 of a rotating list of my favorite books, up there with East of Eden, is The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. And we're reading it right now. And he talks about teaching. That's another one.
Really?
Yeah. And in it, he says, as a teacher, you can't teach someone something. What you're doing is showing them how to unlock something that's already there.
Yes.
And I died over that. And that is what we want to do here with Part of Love. We can't teach you. We can give you tools on how to unlock what's in you. The love you deserve. And you do deserve that. What you think you deserve, you absolutely do. And so we're just here to give you the tools to unlock that in yourself so that you can go forward and find it.
Yes.
And that was so beautiful to find this weekend, being there and going, oh my gosh, like this one girl got on stage, has and just she's shaking. She's shaking. She goes to get a prop. She gets a prop. She sits down. She can't put her watch on. She's just shaking. She's so terrified. And I'm seeing in her the same thing that I have gone through. I get terrible stage fright, which is incredibly ironic, but I
Same,
do.
same.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we both, I mean, and so she gets up there, she sings, she does this hilarious take on this song that she sings that is completely antithetical to what it usually is. And she finishes, and we were laughing and we were like, oh my gosh, this was so great. And she
Started.
is smiling and just tears running down her face. And Ange goes, honey, have you ever sung in front of anyone before? And she's just sobbing. She
Sobbing.
never sung before in front of someone, and realized, okay, the hardest part is over. The unlocking, the first step, that first thing. And
What a breakthrough.
those things they're so hard to do with performing, but they're so much easier. They're more tangible, seemingly more tangible
Right.
than in relationships. In relationships, we go on a date and we think, oh, well, love is this. You either know it or you don't. You either have it or you don't.
Right.
And it's just, there's so much more than that. So I'm
It
just
is,
so
though.
excited.
It is this channel, this platform is about unlocking what's already inside of us.
Mhm.
You know, and sometimes it's more even about the unlearning. Like we came
My God, right?
out perfect, all of us, right? And then we were layered and dumped on and told to think certain ways, and we stopped trusting our intuition.
This is who you
and
actually
listening.
are. This is what you really
Yes.
think. This is what you really do.
And now I think it's about the unlocking and unlearning and stripping it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So I'm excited about that. Let's
That
go
is
back
cool.
to the comments over here. Never assume too much. Where are we at? Love you guys. Got to go play diggers and move containers now. So I'll catch up later. Okay, Claire.
Bye.
Love this chat has come alive. It's in my nature to check in with everyone here. I know. And it's Angelina Mullins Pratis. So
Thanks,
the Instagram
T.
is, which I love that you know. And thank you for checking that out. I'm sorry that I didn't know it.
I'm sorry that I didn't know it.
That's actually fair.
But yeah, I'm trying to post more on that.
Yeah.
But more like, our personal life. Like, not that our personal life isn't on Part of Love, but sometimes I don't want to overwhelm Part of Love with like the dogs or, teaching or
it's just
whatever.
Another outlet.
Yeah.
I get it. I have to start posting. Do you guys have trouble with that? I have trouble with posting a lot because I have this weird feeling of, I guess, keeping it in the oversharing. I'm currently undersharing because I don't know that the things that we share on Part of Love are things that, that I 100% believe in and want out there in the world because I think they're necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times personally, when I go to post something, I'm like, I don't need to post this picture of just randomness. I want there to be a thought behind it, but I find that I have so much more trouble doing that than doing this because I feel like this is something that's necessary.
Right. Well, there's a message behind this, and sometimes, but your following on just Colt Pratis is interesting because it's a following based off of a lot of different things. It's like, sometimes it's performing or whatever it is.
Yeah. Some performing.
And so maybe they're
workouts.
Not necessarily interested in Part of Love always, but then it's nice when we have a crossover. So
yeah. Okay, for chat, I like to post a lot what food I make or places I visit or my cat photos doing funny things, random stuff. Now, see,
totally.
I bet that the food, because the food you make is food you've grown and brandy that you've made from scratch.
Right.
And
cool stuff.
Again, I'm like, these are eggs. These is Taco Bell. Here's
you
coffee.
Guys should post your cocktails.
We should post more cocktails.
Yeah.
With some recipes.
Yeah.
That might be not the worst thing in the world.
Fun.
All right. Well,
you guys, before we sign off, if there's anything you want us to talk about in the next few weeks, because I know we have it covered the next couple weeks, but message us or put it in the comments.
Yeah.
because I like this. I like when we have a starting off point from something that you guys, I know you really want to hear, that, is a question burning on your hearts.
Yeah, the things that are necessary to you are the things that are necessary to us, because the point, we have things that we want to share and that hit us and that hit our hearts, and that we're like, oh, this is definitely important. But like, we want also obviously always to talk about the things that are big parts of love for you. Like, what's going to help you take the next step in your relationship or to finding the love that you deserve. So let us know those things whenever you need. And yeah, I'm stoked. This was a great, like a super fun live.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a good one.
yeah.
Cheers.
We're actually we wrapped up so much earlier than usual, but I'm like,
it was a good one.
It was such a good one. I feel like we're all good.
Right to the point.
I think so. That's probably what it is. Guys, love you.
Love you.
I love you.
Love you too.
All right. We'll see you Thursday.
Bye.